Well, I think that basically keeping everybody happy now that once you build out, okay, this is the other side of that coin. Once you build out something and you've put it all together and actually they got the whole picture, they go, oh man, this is great. Now we can actually go to market with this thing. Because we're at that point, and as it's starting to churn out and people are starting to come in and more customers and things like that on our solutions, what we have to get better at is basically maintaining you got to maintain your support. That's where we haven't really we don't have a challenge doing that, but you have to basically figure out how to support your growth. That is the challenge. I'm not saying that we're bad at it, but I'm just saying that's what we really have to keep an eye on because we are growing and at a pace that we're going to be growing is astronomical. So that's it doesn't keep me awake at night, but I'm like, that's the challenge.
So let me ask one more piece of advice from you. And I'll be vulnerable to our guests. I love the build. I love the chase of the new opportunity, grow it, establish it, get it there. I would tell you, and I think Matt suffers a little bit of this, is once we get it built, then it becomes less exciting for me. Once it's the build it, the structure it, process in place, now it's operate it. You've had a lot of success in both building things. Sometimes you sell something, then you build it, right? Mm-hmm. Or you build it and it becomes a hit. Do you generally need a different team in the build phase than the management phase? Or do you find the same team is valuable, just a shift in mindset? What do you think about that?
It's the same team, but it is a little bit of a shift. You have to basically, what I like to do is I like to always remember that when I'm actually delivering something, and I'm always delivering for somebody that actually is taking the market. That's my thing. I don't go out and just go out and start emailing people and saying, hey, buy my widget. I don't do that. But if I did, that would give me severe burnout. But when I basically build something, I always think ahead about how I can attach another microservice to it, so I can always have something more exciting the next time, and just keep. It doesn't have to be something major or huge, but it just gives people a little bit of pizzazz, to when they come to talk to you the next time. They're like, wow, we could do this, that, and the other thing. I just basically added another microservice today for the client that actually has thousands of clients of their own. And I said, look, have you thought about offering this little widget with your park and recreation group? I'm like, no, that's amazing. And so I can add it on. And I think that would solve some of your, complacency or whatever it is that you're feeling, because it equals money. When you actually can turn that idea or that widget into another thing, and then the bankroll gets bigger, it will make you excited. Should.
I wish money was my biggest, I don't really Tim, it sounds crazy. I don't really care about money. Money is the outcome of a good job. And where I do care about is I care about building, growing people. And so for me, when I have an opportunity to build, grow people, and then establish people and put people into a position to run that's where I've found, I would say, the best opportunity for me to keep the juices flowing for me on the people side and the building side, and then have people who can operate on that side, operating essentially. That's kind of been my balance so far, but I think that your point of having a primary product and then extra little pieces that can kind of keep the juices flowing at all times is a great idea as well.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Ground Up Podcast. My name is Matt Walton, here with my co-host as always, Matt Uber. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing fantastic. It's Friday. It's later in the afternoon. I'm looking ahead. I'll tell you, this has been a week that I am looking to the weekend. So I'm absolutely ready. How about you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel like we have those weeks every once in a while. A lot of times in our business here and what we have, we are excited about Monday because Monday brings more stuff to talk about. And yeah, I know you especially on Sunday nights are putting out all this stuff for Monday morning so we're ready to go. But yeah, this week has been it's been a little tough, but it's exciting. We wouldn't change it for the world. As you guys know, we are entrepreneurs, and this season here of Ground Up Podcast, we are really focused on the entrepreneurial journey, what you guys are doing, how we're getting. Not only are you going funding, are you going bootstrapping, are you looking at the market and where you're going into the your customers that you're looking into. We're doing everything we can to really focus in on entrepreneurs to help other entrepreneurs learn from us and from our guests. And our guest today fits that perfectly. Tim Green, how you doing?
Very good. Very well. How you guys?
Man,
Good.
great.
Glad to
Tired,
have
but I'm
you.
good.
We're good. So, Tim, give us a little background. You gave us a little one before this, but for the audience to know who you are, what you guys do, you run a few different companies here, which is great. So tell us a little bit about those.
Yes. Well, Tiki Live started about 2007. A little bit before there, we were actually one of the companies that really excelled when people were getting behind the camera and just basically trying to do whether it be a podcast, a show, or maybe a sports show or some type of a program where they were trying to do something for the bigger screens. So we excelled in that and did very well in the Tiki Live space. We even made ourselves, we became one of the buttons on one of the largest TV manufacturers. So we became a pretty big name in the industry early 2010, 11, 12. And then we basically pivoted into some premium content and try to hand it that. Of course, a lot of the Plutos come along and different folks were getting into the space. We thought we would try that in the ad realm. So we tried that. We didn't really go very far with it. We didn't really excel in that because it was so crowded. So then we pivoted and we made another pivot to accessibility. And that's where we're at today. Accessibility
Define
is
that
where
for
we're
me. What is accessibility? Explain that to me.
well, accessibility is really for the blind or the deaf that really need to consume your content or just be notified or something of that nature because accessibility today in the a lot of realms and especially a lot of the market that we're in, which is government, they have to be accessible. All of their videos have to have closed captions, audio descriptions, things like this. And if you don't know what those are, in audio descriptions, it's kind of new, where basically the video is actually described to someone so they can understand what's happening in the scene while it's going on. So they don't have to see the scene. It's painted in their, it's verbally painted to them. So accessibility is where we're at and where we're growing by leaps and bounds now. We're basically doing streaming and closed captions and a lot of these other tools for about 800 municipalities around the country and growing maybe two to three per week, sometimes more.
So it's an ADA compliance, right? That's you guys have to
Yes,
stick with
ADA compliance. Very well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One
One of the things that stick out to me is we're talking about the entrepreneur journey here is the pivots you guys made. I think that's so important. I think that a lot of people, when you had that first round and it doesn't work out, they back out and they're like, oh, it doesn't work. I'm out. I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
You guys didn't take that. Obviously, you went another route, tried that one, didn't work, and you went to another one to make it work. So tell us about the decisions to pivot, what you guys had and, what it came to obviously make that decision and how the team worked together to get there.
Well, since the beginning, we're all self-funded. Basically, everything that we do and everything that we've built, I architected, and I made sure that I had a client before I built the concept first. So, I mean, I have a concept, but I basically sell the concept as I'm building and make sure that it's sold by the time I'm ready to go. Sometimes I have to do demos. Sometimes I have to build a platform and actually show somebody what I'm talking about. But I find the need first, and then I go after it rather than, a lot of folks, go out and raise money. They spend all their time, talking to investors and doing decks and all that. What we prefer to do is with our team is just go ahead and find the client, find a good paying client or many of them, and start there. And you will be much better off if you just hold, 100% of your company rather than starting from below zero, below sea level is what we like to call it.
Yeah, so that's interesting. You guys say that you take a client first approach. So you're looking to go and what I'm guessing you could probably do, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is you go and find out, you maybe have an idea in your head, but you go and find somebody first and you say, here's my idea. How would this work for you? Would this work for you? Tell me what you need. And then you kind of build it to their needs. Is that what you mean by client
I
first?
actually I look at a client and I examine what they're doing and what I could do better, and then I find they may need me and actually try to slide it in there. And then I actually say, look, I approach somebody that actually is already in the market, possibly, but they're missing a key component. I do a lot of background on clients because my clients some of them are very, very large clients. So they've got tons of information. You can know more about what they're doing internally and a big client than they do. So you come in from a perspective of, I'm gonna see if I can help you. And what do you think about this idea? What if you plug this into your environment? Would that help you? And they're like, well, yeah, if you really, of course, you're saying it, but I don't. Some people like our latest product. Which is automatic dubbing in languages. I knew that I could do it, and I also knew that the stockbrokers could need it because they're talking to an audience that may not speak the same language, so they need to use translators and things like that. So I basically brought it to them, and they said, if you really can do that, it's just going to be amazing. So we did it, and that's kind of how I do. I kind of study the client, and before I go pitching, I basically find something that's really interesting to me that I think that can help them.
I think it's interesting, and I love the intellectual way in which you attack the problem. Is number one, you find something you're first interested in, something that grabs your attention. I think so often people chase the shiny object that they think can make the most money, but they're not actually interested in the problem and the solution. They see the money behind the idea, but don't realize that when you're done making the money, if you don't have a passion around that, then that really will limit your ability to scale. I think to Matt's point as well, I mean, what I hear from that, and I attach it to my own journey, as I'm sure a lot of our listeners will, which is I came to the market with an idea. I ran a very large sales organization in the corporate world. I knew that when I left that organization, I was going to go out on my own. I hesitated on doing so for so many years because of these corporate golden handcuffs that are always there, in that sense. But once I made the jump. The first idea I had that I was so convinced was the idea that was going to be great wasn't the idea that worked. And then the second idea didn't work. And then the third idea didn't work. And even after that, since we've created Spinwheel and then Spinwheel Assist, Matt and I have made multiple pivots in our business based off of the need, based off of us trying something didn't work, trying a different thing, it did work. Okay, let's go all eggs in on this idea. But I love the idea of sometimes you just have an idea, you go sell the idea, and then you worry about implementing the idea behind the scenes. Now, that must take a little bit of balls there to sell an idea without it being ready to go. And I think that so many entrepreneurs never get off the starting blocks because there's that paralysis by analysis thing. Tim, how do you overcome the overthinking to just get out there and talk about your idea, advance your idea, sell it, then develop, or then kind of put it into play?
A good question. We have a saying here: do the first things first. Don't overcomplicate your platform. Don't promise many things, even though that you know in the back of your head, I've got 10 things I could do with this platform and with this tool, but only sell one at a time. Don't overdo it, because if you do oversay it or state it, when you show the thing that you can do in the next, say, 60 to 90 days, and you say, hey, or 6 months, and you say, I've got this, but if you've told them about 4 more plans, they're going to be kind of like, well, I expected you to see this other thing too, right? And it's deflating. So even your team, be careful about how much you actually share with the team on the whole picture. You don't need to give everybody every bit of information. That's my thing, because they can't handle it. They'll tell you no, and they will kind of fight against you, and they'll say, I don't think we're going to be able to do that. But in the heart of hearts, that you can do it because you wouldn't be going, you're the expert, you're the guy. If you can't do it, you'll find that out. But you don't need to give everybody every bit of detail while you're going through the process, because they will harpoon your deal in the middle, and it's emotionally distracting. Because what you need to do is actually, what I don't say what you need to do. What I do is I basically get a thing and I say, look, I can deliver this, okay? But I know there's 9 other things, but I don't tell them 9 other things. I tell them this, but when they get ready to look at that thing, I have another one in the chamber, and I go, hey, did you know I did this too? But don't tell them until you're demoing, and they go, hey, what do you think about this add-on that I put on this thing? And they're it's a little ice on the cake, and they're
You got a
generally
reaction.
like, wow. They're like,
Tim, you got
wow,
a reaction
you did that?
from Matt. Tim, you got a reaction from Matt when you said, don't tell everybody everything. Matt, I'd love to hear, I don't know if you gave a visceral reaction, but you did. So I'd love to hear, when he said that statement, what went through your head? What did you think? Because something clicked.
2 things. One is, I was thinking about the team side. I get that, what you said about having to not give everything over at the same time, and everything, all your ideas that come in place, don't throw it out to the team, because I understand the pushback you'll get from that. What I have a question about is what we have to do also with the team, and as we build our team and as we put the people in place, we have to build the vision. Because I feel like if we build the vision and we build what we're trying to get to, and we show them, hey, this is the goal that we're running towards, this is what we need to hit that goal, that there's more buy-in towards that, and people kind of follow along with it. And we've had an issue with one of our developers as we're building our tool out that we have, is when they first came on, we gave them a small idea of what we're doing, right? We gave them a small one of that was just the voice side of things, right? And so when they finished, or kind of got towards finishing that end of the voice thing, then they found out, no, our vision is actually this big and not this big, what you thought in the first place. And so that threw them off a little bit. And so, we want to make sure that we had a very clear understanding of everything from the beginning. So I hear what you're saying, and I get that part of it, where it can be overwhelming, especially with all the ideas that we have in our head as entrepreneurs. But you also, I feel like you have to make sure we share the full vision. We put the team towards that full vision, understand we break it down into parts after that. Now, what clicked in my head, well, not clicked in my head, but one of my reactions was that me and Matt have no shortage of ideas, and especially Matt. Matt's been running like crazy lately, which has got him just rolling. He's giving a lot of ideas to the team, a lot of them. And sometimes what you said kind of clicked to Tim a little bit too, is, hey, let's, and we've got a little pushback in between us a little bit, where it's, let's get this one thing done first, and then let's focus on the 1,000 other things that we have, the next thing after that. So it's been a little bit of a challenge for us. But Tim, my question is, when you have this big vision of things, but you only go one at a time, how do you get the team to fully buy into the whole entire idea?
Well, generally we're dealing with platforms, and so the platform does have to be built overall it has to handle it, because we understand that when we do a platform, what you intend to do is to have, if you're going to grow, you're going to have hundreds of thousands and millions of users. Okay, so don't start, in a monolithic little thing. If you're going to build a cloud, you have to go to think about the whole deal. Yes. The whole enchilada. But you can tell people everything, if a few key people, but I'm not sure that if you've never done it, if it doesn't exist in the market, just be careful for what you're telling them, that it's not believable. I mean, I get pushback all the time. I just don't think this is going to work. It's not going to work because for whatever reason in their experience, it doesn't work for them. So then you have to overcome that. What I try to do is I say, okay, here's our vision. This is our vision. I won't give them everything that I'm doing, just the scope. Then I basically, down to the team members when I'm developing, I may not even tell one team member what the other team member is doing necessarily until I'm ready, because I'm technically efficient enough to understand what the tech stack does in order to put A with B, but I don't necessarily need them to overthink everything, because they will get out ahead of you and say, oh, this is what you dream. This is, and it's not your dream. You have to basically, you have to stick with what you're doing, and you have to actually get that thing done first and then move to the next thing. That's been my experience. I've done hundreds of platforms, and I've done some pretty incredible far out things that people said I couldn't do, but you do them, and then you find out sometimes, like to your point, the shiny thing is not making any money. I mean, we built Out of Bands, which if you go to outofbands.com, you'll see people that are singing and tuned together and playing in tune from anywhere from around the world. Beautiful, great. I can actually put you in a room and actually play guitar, and that guy can play guitar in India, and another person can dance in Taiwan, and they'll all be on the same measure. Okay, incredible thing, right? But who's going to pay for that?
Yeah, it's not monetized.
You find out, and then you find out that musicians are broke. So,
yeah, and Matt's point too also is like the shiny object syndrome. Most of the time, I think that people chase that and then they don't get money right at first, but they had no passion about it, so they stop.
Yeah, I think that the biggest problem we have look, I mean, both of us have utilized and run towards this shiny object right now, but how you run towards it is what it is, and that's AI. I mean, I could tell you there are thousands of people that decided this week to create some sort of AI company because it's the keyword, it's the hot topic, it's the thing to run towards. I mean, I definitely think that there's the differentiator you've got to play within your product and you're there. But before we move it on to that, I wanted to double click back on the telling everybody everything in your business. Now, I would imagine, and as you're thinking, going through it, I think of like there's a value of having certain people in your business that have a certain personality around the vision. I think there's sometimes a value in having the dream killer a value in having the yes man, a value in having the cheerleader and then the analytical one and those. And like, as long as you understand the people that you have in your team and then the purpose in which they have in sharing the vision, then you're good. I mean, I would say fortunately and unfortunately, when I tell people here's a vision, I have people that will never give me resistance. And I actually prefer you give me resistance, to try to break it down because they're just like, okay, Matt said it, let's run there. And it's like, great, let's run there. But I'd rather them like say, well, what about this? What about that? I feel like in my marriage, my wife is an idea person too. Mm-hmm. And every idea she brings to me, I always am killing her dream. Always am killing her dream. Everything she brings to me is fairy tales. And I am like, well, what about this? What about this? I bring the reality of it. And she's like, oh, you kill all the fun. You kill all the fun. Why don't you just let me have a fun idea before you have to bring in logic to this great idea that I have? Sometimes it's good to have that dream killer. So I would agree with the tenet of don't share everything with everybody, but then also understand who you have in your inner circle, maybe not even within your team, but maybe within a mentor, your coach, your friend, your community, people who've been around the block that you can share with that you trust will not tell you what you want to hear, but tell you what you need to hear to be able to make happen what happens.
Yeah, these people are essential and key. I mean, the people that are actually going to basically give you the what ifs, perfect example of that, you hang with the people that actually will give you those questions, you respect, and you basically, and you hit them with that. You hit them with more. I do. I hit them with more than my team initially, and have them actually, because they've run businesses, they've run platforms, they've run these things, and they would and so I my family, my brother, I reach out to him. He's run very large organizations and processes. Yeah, that's very, very good idea and very good point.
Yeah.
One of the other things, Tim, and for our listeners, they're going to hear me beat this drum for the next couple of weeks. It's just a thing that I'm on right now. Mm-hmm. And Matt knows it. He's doing a version of it in his business. And I want to share this with all of our guests because I think it absolutely, is going to revolutionize how we are going to use technology to help us make business decisions internally. And so, Tim, I'm working on a special project right now that over the past, I'd say about 5 hours over the past 10 weeks, I've invested explaining everything about my business, everything about my people, my process, my team, everything to ChatGPT. Completely. So I've just gone on long walks, put out the audio side of it, and put my headphones in and just talking. And if you do it, you can actually dialogue. And you say, be a business consultant, be a business director. Ask me the questions you need to know about this. Let's go line by line and analyze the overall strength of the business, success, the business, the people, the process, everything. So I spent 2 hours just explaining everything about my business with it. Then I had it interview me and do an assessment on my overall personal persona inside of my business as the founder of the team to understand where my strengths are and where my weaknesses are as a founder, analyze that next to my team, say, where should I supplement my team based off of who I am, what I have, and who I have on my team. Then I built a board of directors around Matt and I as well, which had a CFO, a legal advisor, a integrator, a customer success manager, the things that aren't necessarily in Matt or My's wheelhouse. And we created a board of directors, and having somebody like that to then go run a board of director idea next to with seasoned experience that you've developed AI to develop for you. I'm thinking and hoping this is going to be creating that protected infrastructure of idea sharing and things right there inside of a board that I've created and I've established with individual personalized personas, experiences, personality traits, measured things. Some of them I've said, I want you to be a little bit more passive, a little bit more quiet in certain settings, and in one-on-one settings, be a little bit more argumentative and vocal. In this setting, I want this person to be kind of the glue behind the team. I want this person to be no nonsense, all about the facts, and then create an overall kind of persona within our business utilizing ChatGPT. Matt and I, and I'll report back on this, I'm doing a series on my social media and YouTube. Matt and I are running our first ever board of directors meeting this Wednesday with Matt and I and ChatGPT representing the 7 different board of directors. So I will give you guys an update as the time goes on. But as I share that with you, Tim, you have seasoned time. You've got experience. You've been around this block. You have, it sounds like, a great network with your brother who's had success that you can leverage. But for those that don't have that, what do you think about the idea of what I just shared with you?
I think it's great. You just have to look out for ChatGPT because they're completely optimistic.
Yeah.
Because they have no soul. They're just basically what I think is leaning towards more, and I like it. I mean, it's cool that they could be so optimistic. It's but it's 90% optimistic. And the 10%. I might instruct it to be a little bit more curt on its
100%.
On its idea,
and I think it's how you program it, right?
Yeah,
it's how
I like
you prompt it. And that's why, like, for me, I made sure that I said, like, here's me, here's my persona.
Yeah.
What do I need to surround myself with to supplement my weaknesses, my blind spot, my strength? I gave it an understanding of Matt as my co-founder, and then we built a team with some people that would rub me the wrong way, but are good for the nature. That would be good for the nature, that that would be across the board. Now, Matt has then done this in his real estate wholesale business, and he's found it very eye-opening in how brutal it was. Mm-hmm. It was brutal to things that Matt, who's a really, really nice operator, he has trouble, I would say, making some of the harsher decisions that are in front of him. And ChatGPT, when he did this for his wholesale business, it was very unemotional about decisions based off of how he prompted. I mean, I don't know if you want to give as much details because people might be listening. So
yeah, I mean, it was just like they're on the chopping block. You can replace them with this. You can do that with that. And I was like, oh, okay. And like Matt said, I want to help as many people as possible, especially my team. And I try to be as nice as possible, and understand. I get more empathetic when it comes to like understanding them and their lives and the situations going on. And that makes it hard for me to fire people. It sucks a little bit as an entrepreneur, but I think it does create great relationships with the people that I work with that help them move towards the end goal. And funny you say that about being optimistic for ChatGPT, because I shared with Matt a video that was shared with me from my wife. Where I forgot what the lady asked, but she's asking a question in ChatGPT, and she asks him whatever question, and ChatGPT comes up and says, 80% of people do this, blah, 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 blah. And she said, where's your source for that? And it said, we don't have one. We just wanted to give you something that aligned with what you were saying, basically. Like, so it made up
bias right there.
Yeah, it made up something just to say like, hey, I can agree with you and I can tell you what you want to hear, basically, and just out of nowhere. So when she questioned the source of it, it had nothing because it just showed that. So it's funny you brought that up, and you know that already. Is you have to really understand like, hey, don't sugarcoat this and don't make something up for me. Like, come with hard facts about what you're saying is true or not. Like, is the data true, and where are you getting that data from? So I think that's really important to
and the same goes with programming. I mean, programming, a lot of people, you have to be smarter than the AI that actually is giving you this information. You have to have that backup for sure.
Right. Okay. So you guys are moving towards an AI business now. Now we're talking about AI for a little bit here, but you do have one, Perfect Works, right?
Yeah.
And you said it integrates with Tiki Live, which is a business you have. So
Right.
tell us how that works out with you guys right now.
Yeah, we have a couple of businesses. TikiLive.ai. If you visit that, you'll find that this is basically using AI to do audible, translation in real time. So if we're having a meeting in the Tiki Lives platform, I will be speaking English and you can select Spanish and hear it in real time. And we could do that up to 38 languages so far. So we can do Arabic to, Spanish, French, whatever. So we can actually have conversations with people with a completely different dialect or 38 different dialects. So that's the Tiki Live AI. And we have a lot of offshoots from that, like dubbing. You take a movie and basically just put it through the system and it'll come up with the dubbing and it'll change everything for you in that particular language of your choice, your target, So that's really, really beneficial for people that just want to communicate and do business with each other from different dialects.
Yeah, so it's not just doing closed captions. It's actually like speaking in that language real time in different
Yeah.
language.
And it does that as well. It does closed captions and all of that in real time. So that works into the accessibility side of it. And now you go to Perfect Works, and Perfect Works is a lot of different accessibility things, audio descriptions, closed captions, again, the dubbing. So we do a lot of different things in the Perfect Works, and it even translates over to documents. So there's, for one of my clients, has in the area of over tens of millions of documents. And in a government setting, these all have to be what's called remediated. So they have to be accessible by a reader. And the reader basically has, when the blind person goes to the document, it'll actually read to them. And that's on the Perfect Work side of what we do there. I didn't think I'd be interested in documents. Like Matt, what you were talking about before is like you have to be interested. Well, when I sat down with some seminars and watched, through a weekend of seminars from my client, I was looking at that and thinking, it's so boring. Documents are so boring. There's nothing interesting about what they're talking about until they mention remediation. And I didn't know what remediation meant. I thought it meant, fixing your basement so you could sell the house. So that's remediation to me, right? So I had no idea what it was. And so they were talking about document remediation. A PDF, which is generally a legal document, so they can't change it, is put online, and so people can't change it, but it has to be read by a reader, and it's very hard to remediate that PDF. You have to pull it down, put it through a process, Adobe or otherwise, have a specialist and put the headers and the tags on it. It's very complicated. So what I did is I built an AI model that basically it does it in a matter of seconds. So now we can actually have it done. And this helps people in the industry of fixing these documents, because with the accessibility rules by the DOJ put in place, this is the law. You have to have this, and it's a right. So you have to have these documents ready for 2026, and we're within a few months now. So I've been working on this for about a year, and it's working swimmingly well. And so now we're remediating tens of thousands of documents a day. So
yeah, look, I hope you don't take this the wrong way. I don't think you do the sexy businesses by any means. But
well,
you do
streaming is sometimes.
Well, yeah, streaming is, yeah, of course, yeah. But you do the businesses that are needed, and I think a lot of people focus on the obviously the flash and what's going on there. But there's so many boring businesses. Matt was talking about the other day. There's so many boring businesses that people make so much money on because they're so focused on just like are people going to need this, and it's something that is a need for a lot of people, and you focus on that and you built that within it. Out of curiosity here, the most of these channels, when they go live and they do things, do they have still somebody typing out the captions?
Yeah. They'll do
Okay.
it. They'll do the captions in real time. Some are into AI. Some will starting into AI, but it's new.
Yeah, I think that's an easy replacement.
Hold on. So you're saying to me, and this
Yeah.
is new news to me,
Really?
that when I see closed captions, somebody is physically
On
typing
live,
this out
on
on
live
like
stuff.
live TV?
I'm surprised you haven't noticed on like live sports, because that is when they mess up a lot. You haven't noticed?
I don't ever keep closed captioning on because I can hear okay.
I have to. No, I feel like I'm getting old.
Yeah,
I have
no,
to be
I
able
get
to
it.
see it
But
now.
now more and more it's going to AI, and
That makes
we
sense.
built and you have to basically use some really, really great fast libraries that actually do that. It's exciting stuff where you could actually help people while you're building a business. And so it's great to help the blind and also the deaf. We also have ASL, American Sign Language.
Yep.
avatar. You can actually I have an automated ASL. I also have real time. So we can invite somebody into the room. They'll be down to the lower right, left, whatever. You can drag them around and they can be there on command. We have a partner that actually will do ASL 24 hours a day. They are on hand to basically come in and do it for you in real time. So you don't have to have an avatar. You can use a real person to actually do your meetings now, which is really nice for us. But in order to use that, you have to have something of a room or something like this, like Riverside and whatnot. You have to have that. So we built that. We built an entire platform so we could have these stages and co-host and do things like this.
So how far away from you from creating an AI sign language ASL person?
We have it now. We do have it now, but it's not as good as what the people want to see it. And it's for me, it's really
expressive.
good. But for somebody that is deaf, it's not quite there yet. And it's a bit irritating and it's a bit insulting to have, something that is actually not really have the emotion because it's a language, it's not just a movement. It's an actual language. So you really want somebody that actually does it and very well or don't do it at all.
I think about the ASL lady at the rap concerts.
Yeah. And then they start messing with her and start saying some like vulgar things and making her start doing those things.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yeah, I mean, ASL is definitely an expressive language, so I get that. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, in the AI space, there's so many different ideas. There's so many libraries. There's so many different things, and people just create them to create the libraries. So they're hoping that somebody will latch onto it and build something with it and makes money. But Elon has a car that drives down the road, but he had the car. And he has a road. He actually has something that, he has a ship to go to Mars. Certain things that he's trying to accomplish, not just have a cool picture graph, or some, hologram or something that people.
Everything he's doing is to be able for him to end up on Mars. Every single thing, from the tunneling to the internet, the satellite internet to the cars. I mean, everything he's doing is for him to end up Mars before he's dead. So let me ask you, Tim, and maybe I should have been able to take this from this, but who exactly is your customer? Like right now, who do you sell to? Who is your customer that you're providing services for? I get the idea in general, but how do you expand your business? Who's your customer? How do you get in front of those guys?
Generally, they come to us through other customers, but it's generally a city, county clerk's office that basically needs to stream their weekly meetings, their agendas and things like that. They might need to do something for parks and recreation and things like that. But once they do the stream or during the stream, they're definitely going to need those accessibility tools on top of that. So because we specialize in accessibility, they tap us to do that because a lot of companies are not doing that. They could just stream and then they might send it off and have it done with the closed captions or a language or something like this. We do it in real time. So our customers are more and more it's going to the government space because that's who is recommending our services.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that's a lot of people and they got money to pay for it.
Yeah.
And we have
customers of all sorts of people. We have people that build channels. We have class movie star that has their platform. I can't give you who it is because they have what's called a white label, so we do things like that, but they're basically those types of projects are, for them, it's expensive to make, and I can only do like one or two of those things, and then it becomes more of a maintenance thing. But in my other business where we're doing like the Perfect Works and things like that, we could do it at scale, and we could do it for people that are really trying to scale, and they're simple, what I call micro projects. And we even call some of our products widgets, and they just basically explode in the market, and people use them out there in the industry under either their own label or we might do something special for them, but we go for scale.
So I anticipate, and I'm sure you do too, or at least I hope you do, the massive change in regards to the market in the next 5 years. With AI being so prevalent, with all of that, I think that just the way we interact with technology is going to be vastly different 5 years from now than it is today. If you just think back 5 years from today, you think back in that COVID time, it feels like COVID was just yesterday, at least it does for me. But man, how much we've advanced just since 2020 has been rapid. And I think that it will exponentially grow there. So Tim, what does your next 5 years look like? Like if you're having to forecast all of those growth changes and advancements that are happening, how is that going to affect your business? Where do you think your business and industry and company is going?
Well, I would like to keep a tight team. We went from 56 people here to just about a dozen people. So, we like to keep a tight team of folks. I'm really all about getting behind an engine that has all the people doing all the magic out front. Like you guys have a marketing team and all that. We like to get behind people that actually have that all worked out so that we can keep slim, mean, lean, and actually just do development around magical things. I mean,
I like that.
That's what I'd rather do. I'd rather
Yeah, I mean,
not.
that's a good approach. That's awesome. That's because you focus on what you're good at, then you find the people who already had that stuff in place instead of you having to go and start up from scratch and either learn it or find somebody. You go and just partner up with the people that know how to get that done quicker, and you move towards that.
Yeah, because your cost, you think about your cost of acquisition, you think about all those things, in your plan. And if you have to basically build all that stuff out, it's grueling. I did that. I built those platforms out, and I had those people, the salespeople, all that stuff. But if you find the people that are really in need of smart, really great tech, and you can actually deliver it, wonderful. So that's where I see keeping small. I don't see growth much in manpower. I want to grow more efficient and basically just keep slim.
So in my opinion, Tim, a lot of entrepreneurs, business leaders we talk to, they have a ton of positive things to talk about. They have a ton of, these are all the things that are going good. And when we have these conversations, most of the conversations focus around the good things. Now, you've been an entrepreneur for a while. We've talked about some of the, maybe, I don't know if you classify them failures, but adjustments you made when you saw something didn't work. Right now, today, in your business, I assume everything's not perfect. It's definitely not perfect in our business. What are one or two things you're really working on increasing or getting better at inside of your business to be even more effective, more efficient, to be able to be a better operator as an entrepreneur?
Well, I think that basically keeping everybody happy now that once you build out, okay, this is the other side of that coin. Once you build out something and you put it all together and actually they got the whole picture, they go, oh man, this is great. Now we can actually go to market with this thing. Because we're at that point, and as it's starting to churn out and people are starting to come in and more customers and things like that on our solutions, what we have to get better at is basically maintaining you got to maintain your support. That's where we haven't really we don't have a challenge doing that, but you have to basically figure out how to support your growth. That is the challenge. I'm not saying that we're bad at it, but I'm just saying that that's what we really have to keep an eye on because we are growing at a pace that we're going to be growing is astronomical. So it doesn't keep me awake at night, but I'm like, that's the challenge.
So let me ask one more piece of advice from you, and I'll be vulnerable to our guests. I love the build. I love the chase of the new opportunity, grow it, establish it, get it there. I would tell you, and I think Matt suffers a little bit of this, is once we get it built, then it becomes less exciting for me. Once it's the build it, the structure it, process in place, now it's operated. You've had a lot of success in both building things. Sometimes you sell something, then you build it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you build it and it becomes a hit. Do you generally need a different team in the build phase than the management phase? Or do you find the same team is valuable, just a shift in mindset? What do you think about that?
It's the same team, but it is a little bit of a shift. You have to basically, what I like to do is I like to always remember that when I'm actually delivering something, and I'm always delivering for somebody that actually is taking the market. That's my thing. I don't go out and just go out and start emailing people and saying, hey, buy my widget. I don't do that. But if I did, that would give me severe burnout. But when I basically build something, I always think ahead about how I can attach another microservice to it, so I can always have something more exciting the next time, and just keep. It doesn't have to be something major or huge, but it just gives people a little bit of pizzazz, to when they when they come to talk to you the next time, they're like, wow, we could do this, that, and the other thing. I just basically added another microservice today for the client that actually has thousands of clients of their own. And I said, look, have you thought about offering this little widget with your park and recreation group? I'm like, no, that's amazing. And so I can add it on. And I think that would solve some of your, complacency or whatever it is that you're feeling, because it equals money when you actually can turn that idea or that widget into another thing, and then the bankroll gets bigger. Will make you excited. Should.
Sounds to me like
I wish money was my biggest, I don't really Tim, it sounds crazy. I don't really care about money. Money is the outcome of a good job. And where I do care about is I care about building, growing people. And so for me, when I have an opportunity to build, grow people, and then establish people and put people into a position to run that's where I've found, I would say, the best opportunity for me to keep the juices flowing for me on the people side and the building side, and then have people who can operate on that side, operating essentially. That's kind of been my balance so far, but I think that your point of having a primary product and then extra little pieces that can kind of keep the juices flowing at all times is a great idea as well.
Yeah, and I think this is great, because you are doing something that I used to be all charged up about, that, building the people, putting them in, growth and motivating these people. I used to do that, but I got so into the development side that I got away from that for a lot of years. So it kind of, it's not me anymore. But I used to love doing exactly what you're talking about. Back when I would actually build a team of salespeople. I used to be a sales manager and a software development team and all that. But that was such a charge for me. And I understand that, give them a product and build these people and have them succeed and motivate and achieve.
Towards. Yeah, give them something to work towards. I mean, my biggest fear of managing a team that have no ability to continue to grow. Would they have hit their ceiling? They know they've hit their ceiling at my business and there's nothing more they can do. That's my biggest fear within our business when it comes to our people around that. I know Matt, and I really look at people very similarly when it comes to that. So I don't know. I think it'll forever be a challenge. I mean, Matt and I just last week, my best friend brought in a off the wall idea, asked a random question to me. And then I called Matt 10 minutes later. And now over the past I'd say week, we've invested 10 hours into a whole new business idea that is going to be both a passion project for both of us that have nothing to do with what we do. It's no shortage of ideas. That's, I would say, probably our biggest issue.
Yeah, one of the things
who funds that idea?
Who funds it?
So far, we've funded everything we have. We have to bootstrap everything, and we've done it in a similar way in that we leverage the success of one business to build another one, or leverage the success of one thing here. We have yet had to take any outside money for any of our ideas or our business, and I don't know if we ever will. We talk to so many entrepreneurs that that's the only path they think of is, how can I get to the point where I can get to funding? And I can't scale until I get to funding. And for me, I just don't think that way. Everything I build, I think of, man, we should be able to run the business, do the business self-sufficient with us. So the AI business we're doing, we are hiring all the developers. We're self-funding it. We're taking all of the investment in there. And that's something I really credit Matt to me, because I'm a tight pocket. I'm not concerned about making the most amount of money, but I'm definitely concerned about spending a lot of money. And Matt will help me loosen those purse strings up for the ideas. So it's a good partnership.
Back though, because my purse strings are way too loose sometimes. But yeah, one of the things that Tim, it sounds like for me is you keep the passion for it because you're constantly building. Like you talk to your clients, it sounds like, and then you find like, hey, this client also has this little bit of an issue. Let's build something to fix that issue, and it just keeps going. And then I think that's, you just can, there's no end to it because everybody has so many issues, which is a great way to keep going. And maybe Matt, that's what we need to continue to do, is just find little nuances of issues that our clients are having or people that we're helping are having, and then build something towards that. As we kind of did with the AI business, it made sense for us because, virtual assistants was our main thing, and then AI can render a lot of virtual assistants useless because the AI can be better than that. So it was an easy pivot for us to move into that AI option because it was something that the industry was going towards. And so it's just a flow of us and what we're doing. Go ahead. Sorry, if you want to say something.
Well, no, just to your point, be the best you can be at what you do, because a lot of these companies that you could help don't have time. They don't do their research. What I find, the bigger the company, the more they don't want change. So they're not going to go into what you want to show them, because they're thinking about their next vacation, or or the next, they're not thinking about doing something new. Generally, you have to bring that to them, and when you do, it's an exciting way to go, because they can't do the consulting thing that you're doing for them. They're not wired that way. Generally they might have some entrepreneur in there that could do that, but chances are no. So you bring something new to them, and that's what we do. And they all have competitors too, which is nice. So once you've proven it and you've done it with a big client, other people pick you up.
Awesome. So we're going to wrap this up here. And I want to wrap this up by, you are a serial entrepreneur. You're growing, you're constantly building. You've had multiple journeys throughout your career now to where you're at now. What advice would you give either new entrepreneurs or people who are in the thick of things right now?
Well, I would say if I were starting out, I would do something part-time and have a full-time job. Mm-hmm. So many people are like, well, I don't want to do that. I got to go all in,
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but or if you can find an angel or something like that, that's great. I'm just we have never done that. Like you guys, it has to be something that people are going to buy, and it has to sustain. So that's where I've been. Never went the other route. I don't know how to do it, quite frankly. It doesn't interest me. I did try to do a few pitches, and the questions I got were I was not ready for that. I was like, okay, I just can't explain really my vision to these people that are just want to, So
well, Tim,
anyway.
Let me ask you this. How much longer do you plan on doing it?
Well, that's a good question. I got a great team of people that would, could run this without me if I decide to, take a break or anything like that. I do have, we are a target, obviously, if as we're getting more and more customers and the clients get bigger and bigger, we're a definite target for acquisition. So, if I get really tired of it, I don't know what I'd do.
So when you're done, when you're ready to hang it up, acquisition's likely the way you'll go, but not necessarily until you're ready to walk away.
Right. I wouldn't put it on the block now. I would make sure that we're so ingrained in these businesses that we're irreplaceable, more or less, with big contracts, long standing contracts. Just really think about that in the beginning. Make sure that your contracts are right. Maybe get into that ChatGPT and then send it over to your lawyer to finish it up. Make sure that your agreements are ready to go for that, if that's what you want to do. Think about it in the beginning. What we did early on, several years ago, we went to these seminars where people were, investment bankers and acquisition specialists and all that stuff. So we kind of actually put things together as they were giving us the recipe in the beginning. And so it's not going to be a surprise when somebody asks us and we're ready, or we pitch it, we'll be ready because we set it up because we are knowledgeable about what people told us to do. We did it.
Makes sense.
Just go to tikilive.com. You can go to tikilive.ai. and also perfectworks.io. Any one of those will get right to us, our team. You'll look at some really cool technology stacks there. We do it all on the accessibility, and we're ready to help.
Thank you so much for your time, Tim. Guys, if you got anything out of this like me and Matt did, please like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the bell icon so that when these episodes drop every Friday, you get alerted for it. And we'll share all of Tim's information on our social media so that way you guys can get a hold of Tim, go to his websites, learn more about what he's doing in case he's a good fit for you guys. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, Tim.
Thank you, guys. It was great.
Thank you, man. Have a good one.
Okay, you too.